Welcome to the Jockey Club, a podcast looking at the movie Let It Ride, one scene at a time. My name is Dan Delgado, and we're at historic Hialeah Park where one man is having the best day of his life.
I'm having a good day.
So come on in and hang out while we talk about this day and the greatest movie of all time, Let It Ride. Don't worry about that guy at the door. I've got you covered. You can even
take my seat to the Jockey Club.
Welcome back to the Jockey Club. My name is Dan Delgado, and this week we are doing something different. We have made it 15 episodes and more than 15 scenes into the movie Let It Ride so far, which puts us somewhere around the midpoint of the movie and of this podcast. So, to show my appreciation to you, the Let It Ride faithful, I am releasing something that I've had hidden in my vaults for years. One of the first interviews I did was with Jay Cronley back in 2006. Yes, this is the man who wrote the novel Let It Ride was based on and is a constant topic of conversation on this show. This is coming from a program that I was doing in my apartment and airing live only on an internet radio station at the time. Oh, internet radio, where have you gone? You will hear me, along with my ex-co-host and ex-wife, Jessica Pack, nervously interviewing Jay about Let It Ride, as well as his other film adaptations, Funny Farm and Quick Change. So, from all the way back in November 14th, 2006, and airing originally on talkradiox.com, here is me, sounding much younger, and Jessica, interviewing the late, great Jay Cronley.
How you doing, Jay? It's Dan. How are you?
Dan, great. Thanks for calling. It's my pleasure to talk to you guys.
Oh, it is my pleasure to have you on there. You have no idea how excited I've been to be able to talk to you on the air. It's making my year, I got to tell you.
You know, Jessica and I, she called to make sure I was home, and we were talking a minute ago about Let It Ride, the movie. And what's really more phenomenal about that movie and book than anything, you guys, is the fact that the book was called Good Vibes, the novel, and they changed the name to Let It Ride for the movie with Richard Dreyfuss and Terry Garr and Robbie Coltrane and the rest. And it was a fairly small printing, the original hardback, when it came out. And once that thing was made into a movie, the book has become so valuable, it is absolutely terrifying. Somebody, Dan, called me the other day from California, and they had found a hardback in good condition. I think the way they rate, the condition of books, good, fair, great. So good was like one level from the best. A hardback copy of Good Vibes in good condition, $1,800.
Oh my God!
See, I swear to God, my ex-wife has two of them. Listen, I have one. And so, when you need to if you find a hardback, man, get it.
That's awesome. Well, before we got you on, Mr. Cronley, we were telling the story about how I originally got in contact with you years and years ago.
Sure, I remember.
And I was telling them about how it was so awesome because originally you were like, you know what, darling, I'm sorry, but I don't have any more copies, but thanks for thinking of me. And
listen, it's the most amazing. It's on, if you plug up eBay or Alibri or some of those online bookstores, there was a picture, and the cover, Jessica, of the novel is like, a cartoon cover. It's like a guy grinning with a big horse's head next to him, right?
Yep.
And so here is this cover of this comic novel, like on rare book pages with like Italian artifacts from like the year 804.
So how does it feel?
And the copy of that book. I mean, it's ridiculous.
How does it feel to be the author of something that's so valuable?
I have one copy. When you do a book, they give you. Listen, when you do a book and it's published, they give you like 20 copies. and I'd go to a speaking thing, and I'd hand those out like crackers. Really, I mean, I clearly remember giving a talk and like giving away hardback books like the winos. And so now, even the paperback is like $400.
Yeah, we know. But, it was great because I think you were doing some spring cleaning or something, you said. And you said, hey, Jessica, you know what? I found some copies of the paperback. You want me to send you one? And
Did I send one?
Oh, you sure did.
Yeah, of course I did. I remember that now.
Okay.
Did I have it back?
Oh, it was awesome. And you know what? You did an inscription, and to this day, if anybody ever asks Dan what his favorite gift was, that is it, hands down, no question.
It's the best gift that I've ever gotten in my entire life. In all 32 years
that's
of
so
existence.
sweet. That's and you hear about people who write books and they're made into movies, and they bitch and whine and complain. That there's no complaints, man. Whatever is wrong with that movie is wrong with the book because the woman screenwriter did the book. I mean, it's almost like she got some scissors and cut out the pages because it is almost word for word the book.
Well, you know what? Look, that's a perfect lead-in for a question. How was it working with people taking something like something that you created and turning it into something that everybody was going to see and change it around and do this and do that? How was that process?
It was. Jessica, that's a good question. It's really odd and weird. And for about the last 5 or 6 years, I've been doing screenplays. I haven't written a book in a while. I've been working on screenplays, and I have a whole new respect for bad movies. Because I used to have no tolerance for bad. Listen, it is so hard. Screenplay, it's the hardest thing I've ever even thought about doing, so there's no such thing as a bad movie. But that's what caused it, Jessica. I mean, Let It Ride was perfect. I mean, it was word for word. But the other ones I've had done, Quick Change with Bill Murray was my book, and the first of that bank robbery book is terrific. And then they went, the last of it, it's theirs. They bought it, and so they do whatever they want. And so they, made stuff up. And Funny Farm with Chevy Chase was mine, and they changed that. And so, when you're fairly close to it, you see why books, and not necessarily good books, but books, Jessica and Dan, don't make good movies. And here's why. When you make a movie, they pay these people a fortune, and they're not going to take the camera off of them, And so what the charm you have in a book, like where you can take 40 pages to write about going to the grocery. Everything in a screenplay has to mean something, and also the camera is on the star. And so I promise you, that's why, like in Quick Change when they hired Gina Davis.
Yes.
That character in the book was just kind of like there. But when they pay her X million, let me tell you what, the camera is on her, and they'll think of something for her to say. And so that's why books go berserk. That's why they go crazy.
Wow.
So what's it like? What's it like sitting there and seeing that they've changed things?
Well, it's I hate to bitch and gripe because Dan, it's like selling a car. I mean, that's the way you have. It's like selling anything. If I don't want to sell it, be quiet and don't sell it. And once I sell it, I have no right to gripe. But it's not frustrating. It's just weird because the things they do. I mean, sometimes you think you could do it better, and so that's what I've been trying to do here. The last 3 or 4 years writing original screenplays. Oh my God, it just takes forever.
Wow. So you
sit down and write a book, and you can write 10 pages. I mean, like today, I had the best day I've had in like years, and I wrote like a page. So it just, Danny, it's frustrating, and so you try to, there comes a time in your life where you want them to do stuff the way you write it,
Yeah.
And so the only way to like in Quick Change, they robbed that bank the way I wrote it. But then they did whatever they wanted. So it's just odd. I'm not complaining. It's just odd.
Well, you know what? Here on the Radio Dan Show, you can go ahead and bitch at whatever you want.
That's right.
Well, I mean, it is frustrating. And so, again, I just set out to write. I've done 3 original screenplays, and they're getting close to casting one, I think. But I mean, it takes You guys, I mean, with your show and the way you follow stuff, I was watching TV the other night, and it wasn't Jessica, it wasn't George Clooney, but it was somebody like that. It was somebody good, somebody really good. And he said, I have some time in like the winter of 2009. No, I swear to God, and he was serious. And so that's the way, you do it, and you just put it in a box and mail it, and some decade they'll do it.
So, you know what, let me ask you, how did you get into writing books?
Well, it seemed like a natural progression. My father was a sports editor of the newspaper in Oklahoma City, and I worked for a newspaper, did magazine articles, and watch a lot of movies. And, you think at some point I can do that. And listen, it's my belief, you guys, that we're in the throes of a global creative crisis. TV, movies, art, ballet, anything you can think of, music. I don't think it's good now as it has been. And I don't know what's going to be around in 5 years or 4 years or 10 years or 20 years. And it's ideas. It's all about ideas, and that's how I'm a pretty good idea person, and that's how I got into writing books. And I spend as much time thinking about ideas as I do writing anymore.
So did you find that writing just kind of came natural? Did you go to school for it? Or?
Yeah, I went to University of Oklahoma, and I was an English major. And the good thing about being an English major is they make you read literature, you read books. If you go to journalism school, you read like textbooks. In English you read, and that's the only way to learn how to write. I mean, the only way to learn how to write is to read. There is no other way. I mean, the thought that you could go to, I don't care, the fanciest Northwestern or greatest journalism or lit school in the world, and somebody can teach you how, nobody can teach you how to think. And the idea is what makes it. It's everything is about the idea. And so that's what I do. I spend a lot of time. Whatever we like, you guys, the reason why the definition of originality is there's something new in there and creative. And if it's a TV commercial or whatever we like, there's a new angle to it. So.
Well, I find myself, just my own personal, even when I'm watching like a television commercial, if it's interesting, you're here to proclaim the fact that I'll be like, oh my gosh, that is such a great commercial.
Absolutely. Yeah, Jessica, and the reason we like it is there's something original in it, and it doesn't have to be, if you're talking about a movie or a book or a newspaper article or a magazine, it doesn't have to be a trick ending. That's just an original element to it, original setting, original dialogue. I was sitting right before you guys called, and oh my God, talking about commercials, there was the best. Every time I see it, it's some Liberty Mutual or some insurance company, and the guy is at the security pad in his house, the home security thing, right?
Okay.
He goes, Dan, and he goes to his wife. He punches in a thing, and it's not right, and he goes, he yells to his wife, what's the code? And she said, we had it changed. And he said, what is it? And she said, our anniversary. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Listen, and the guy stands there at the pad, frowning for like 15 seconds, and he plugs in what he thinks is his anniversary, and the siren goes off. I mean, isn't that? And so, I mean, stuff like that, and you could, project that into books and movies and
You're right.
whatever. But I mean, really, the ideas now. I don't know how much you guys watch TV. I mean, it's just absolutely god-awful, horrific, bad. It's bad beyond belief, this stuff that's on.
So do you?
But that's good for people in the business, because if you've got an idea, man, they'll pay you.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, if you and Dan, listen, if you come up with a good idea, they'll pay you. And you don't even have to write it. You'll sit and watch a TV show, and there'll be a credit, Jessica, at the end of it. It'll say, based on an idea by so-and-so.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, I've seen those credits. Yes, I certainly have, yes.
Yeah, Dan, all the time. And in fact, it's like a form letter. The name of a TV show, a list of your characters, a summary of like 2 or 3 shows, and then if it's any good, and if it's original, somebody will pay you. And listen, it's the same with movies. Movies are sorry. I mean, it's bad out there. And the reason why is I don't know. What do you guys think? Why? Listen, here's what what's changed from when movies were like terrifying. I don't know.
Well, honestly, like from my point of view, I think it's because everybody in Hollywood has their nephews and their nieces, and they're all writing these crappy screenplays, and they're like, Uncle so-and-so, can you pay me $25,000 and just do this for me? Like,
oh, that's part of it. You couldn't be more correct.
And then you get a movie like Dude, Where's My Car?
Yeah, listen, and I went last week and saw Running with Scissors. Have you guys seen that yet?
Yes, we did see that.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, it's just, all right, I guess, but I mean, and all again, it's just the idea. And if you've got a good idea, they'll pay. And all they do now is make what made money before. That's all they do.
Yes, absolutely.
And so the whole key is just focusing on an idea and spending a lot of time getting your idea right, and that's where the business is now.
Yeah, it really does seem like there's an absolute lack of ideas, especially over the last few years. Everyone just seems to go back to the well. To what
that's
worked
it,
before.
exactly, and it's horrific. Listen, the only thing I can think of is computers and iPods and cell phones and BlackBerries, and nobody sits and thinks.
You're right.
I'm serious. Listen, nobody sits and thinks, and that's the way. Listen, on Quick Change, I thought of a way to rob a bank. I thought of it, and I bet both of you guys, I sat 8 to 5 a year with a pad, and my whole goal. It's like inventing, like a mad scientist. You think there's a bank and they've been robbed since the beginning of cave people 1,000,000 times. What one way has it not been done? And by God, after a year, I thought of it.
Wow.
Yeah, I robbed it. I robbed that bank. I did it. And Spike Lee stole up my idea. Have you seen
Oh, yeah.
Inside Man? Yeah.
That's mine. Listen, I was sitting at the newspaper writing a column, and the phone rang, and some friend of mine said, quick, put on NPR. And I put on NPR, and the guy was interviewing Spike Lee, and he said, listen, that's Quick Change. You stole that idea, did I mean that? And he goes, yeah. I mean, that's how hard ideas are to find.
Now, speaking of Quick Change, Jay, let me ask you. I see that there is a new edition of it that was printed this year.
Yeah, OU Press here in University of Oklahoma Press did a softback of it. See, now that'll knock down the hardback antique value, I guess.
So I was just wondering, is that just going to be for that book, or will all of your other books?
Well, there's going to be, they reprint them, all of them, from time to time. So I wrote some new stuff. We got sued on. I got sued on that book for like $35 million.
Jeez.
On Quick Change.
Before they did Quick Change. I didn't, but my agent did, and it went to court in L.A., and I wrote about the movie rights to it, and so, excuse me, I did some new stuff on that. So, yeah, it's fun. But I mean, again, it's no vision in an A-frame in Colorado. It's 8 to 5 work. That won't work, and after you go through 50 ideas, and one does. Wow. And that's how important ideas are. So, there you have it. That's what I'm doing with these screenplays. I did a murder mystery, same way, sat for a year. Everybody's been killed in every way on the face of the Lord's earth, right?
Right.
Everybody's done it every way. There has to be one way left, and so I found it.
Wow.
Jay has found the last way to kill someone.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Oh my
Hey,
gosh.
there's more, but it's work, and everybody's on their computer, and nobody sits around and screw. The way you get good is you screw up, and everybody's in such a damn hurry now.
You're right. It's very funny. Everything is so instant.
So, honey, getting back to your question, Jessica, in learning the way I got to writing is my father was a writer, and by just being in that household, I read a lot.
So, what are some of your favorite books then?
Well, I read every word Donald Westlake has written. Donald E. Westlake, W-E-S-T-L-A-K. He's living, in upstate New York, and he is absolutely hilarious and probably as good as anybody. He's been writing, he's probably 70 or so, or in his 70s. He's absolutely great. He wrote, he does books and movies. He's really funny. He wrote Bank Shot and a whole bunch of caper things. And he also did the single scariest movie ever done in the history. And I'm not big on horror. I was in the theater, you guys.
Uh-huh.
And I was watching this movie in a theater, and I screamed and ducked behind the seat. Stepfather, have you seen it?
Yes, I've seen The Stepfather. Yes, I have.
And, oh, my God.
Terry O'Quinn, yes.
Yes. Oh, Terry O'Quinn, who's in Lost.
Yes, say it.
And whistling. Remember he whistled Camptown, whatever, when he was getting ready to,
Yes.
slice somebody's guts out? And that little kid got onto him. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
And the guy who wrote that, Donald Westlake, is the sweetest, funniest, kindest man in the world. And the other ones, I think there have been like 8 of them, haven't there?
Yeah, there's more than one Stepfather running around out there. Absolutely.
The first one,
Yeah.
the one with Terry O'Quinn,
That's
is
the one.
an absolute masterpiece. So Jessica, I read him, and I also, my opinion, the greatest living writer in the world died last year, Evan Hunter. He wrote, his first book was Blackboard Jungle, and he wrote probably 80 books.
Oh my goodness, Blackboard Jungle is probably in my top 10 favorite movies.
Absolutely. You know, that was the first movie where rock and roll was used for the soundtrack. The first movie was rock and roll as the soundtrack.
If I recall correctly, I did know that.
Bill Haley, Rock Around the Clock. Bill Haley in the Comets. When Glenn Ford walks into that school in New York City, Bill Haley and the Comets are playing Rock Around the Clock, and that's the first rock and roll record. It must have been in, oh my Lord, 50s. Anyway, Evan Hunter, and he wrote mysteries under Ed McBain.
Oh, okay, yes. I've actually read a few of Ed McBain books.
They're great.
Yes, they are. They're great books.
So, I mean, if you want to learn how to write, just read everything those two guys have written, and that's that. And then listen, they've written so many books, you can read them all, and by the time you get back to starting again, I mean, you've forgotten them, so.
Okay,
That is awesome.
I have a question for you, Jay. I know you're a big horse racing guy.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, Good Vibes is not only it's about horse racing, but the main character shares the same name that you have.
Is that hilarious? Yeah, Jay, that's the guy responsible for getting that movie made was named Ned Dowd, D-O-W-D, and his sister wrote the screenplay. And Ned Dowd, she also wrote Slapshot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Ned was in it. Ned played that horrible guy who I can't remember the character's name, but was all the time knocking people out with his stick. Anyway, Ned was a friend of mine, and I met him because he likes horses too. And so, he just named that guy. Yeah, he named Richard Dreyfuss Jay in that.
Wait,
Those horse racing scenes in that movie are the best in the history of horse racing. What they did was, those are real. They staged those races.
Uh-huh.
They bought the horses at Hialeah back before Hialeah went under in Miami, and they bought the horses from like 20 of them for insurance reasons, and they raced them. They made up those races, and then they sold them back to the owners. But they were fantastic races.
So were you around, were you on set or anything for the making of
One day,
just one day?
I went down one day, and it was the guy. This just shows, this shows the prestige that goes with being a book writer, right?
All right.
They had the first meeting at the Doral Country Club in Miami, right?
Uh-huh.
Big pre-production. The fun thing, you guys, was the night before, Richard Dreyfuss and Buster Poindexter, who played Looney, and the whole cast, we all went to a dog track in Miami to get in the right frame of mind, right?
Okay.
Is that a great way to start a movie?
Absolutely.
Go drink beer and bet on dogs.
There you go.
And so listen, we walk in that place, and the dog tracks in Miami are privately owned, probably still are. And some little old lady owned this place. And obviously having Richard Dreyfuss in the building was a big thrill. And so we were sitting there, and she would come over before every race and whisper to him. And he would get up and bet. And he won and she was obviously telling him who to bet, which doesn't speak very well for that sport.
Oh my God!
I mean, she was but the only thing I didn't like about him was he hit it. He didn't tell anybody.
What a bastard!
Did not.
That's what I thought. And he hit it like he needed, a couple of $100, and he won money and we didn't. So anyway, I was down there that night, and then the director was the guy who set Michael Jackson's hair on fire. In that commercial.
No kidding, Joe Pitka.
Yes, Pitka. And he walked in, and he looked like Conan the director. He was like 6'9", weighed like 400 pounds, and his wife looked like she just came out of a cake at a coaches convention. And listen, the craziest people, he came in, and he had a real thick European accent. And we were sitting there the day before they were going to shoot, and he said, I don't want dialogue getting in the way of my movie. And I thought, taxi. I came home.
The book writer is going home now.
Yes, so that was it, Jessica. One night at the dog track.
That's funny.
And see, as a book writer, you get, nothing.
Yeah.
Listen, true story. Last year I got a postcard in the mail, about a year ago this summer, a postcard from France. And it said, we made your movie, period, and there was a signed name to it.
Okay.
That's
So
it.
how's that for royal treatment?
Okay, so wait. Let me get this straight. So you didn't know that they were adapting one of your books?
Yes, the book had been under option, Dan. I promise you. 7 years, 8 years, every year renewed. Every year, not a word. The name of the book was Cheap Shot. Every year, renewed. Postcard, we made your movie.
Have you? Wow.
Pretty exciting, huh?
That's very exciting.
And I wrote the guy back and I said, thanks. Can I see it? And so they sent me a tape, and it's got a great cast. It's a French movie, and the name of the book was Cheap Shot, and there's no literal translation. So they called it Our Friends, the Cops, Les Amis, something or other. And it's supposed to be okay, so if you ever see it.
Well, isn't there a couple of French movies from your books, or?
Yeah, they did that one, and then they did Quick Change.
So what's up with the French? They just dig you like Germany digs house off.
Yeah, I don't know. They just do a lot of comedies over there.
Are you like Jerry Lewis over there? Is that what it is?
Okay, Dan. Okay, and send my book back. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Jerry Lewis and I. That's it. Oh, I guess they just are out of material. I don't know what it is. That just shows. That shows where you are as a book writer. Nowhere.
Yeah.
They were all nice. Everybody's been nice. I got to see him. I got to see Bill Murray. He was extremely pleasant, and I got to go to New Jersey where they made Quick Change. And
How was that? Did he hide the hot tips like?
No, he's absolutely exactly the same way. He's exactly the same terrific person he is in the movies.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just as friendly and pleasant and kind of ornery. Just a real nice guy. He's gotten serious. What the hell is that about?
Right? Yeah. What has he been doing? He did.
Broken Flowers.
Oh my God, Dan! What was that?
How boring was that movie?
Yeah. What in the? Why do these people who are they're geniuses?
Yes.
Think that they're not content with being the funniest people on God's earth and do something like that? Wasn't that unbelievable? I was hoping somebody would kill him or something. Just stop that movie.
He just mopes around for 2 hours.
And he moped around 2 hours. The end.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
I mope around here. I go to other states. I mope around there, and then.
And it started with that. He's done 3 or 4 of those in a row.
Well,
he needs to cut that out.
The Lost in Translation, he did.
Yeah, and that was kind of mopey. And he did that submarine one was kind of mopey.
Oh, that's right. The Left
It started with that school movie that was kind of serious, which wasn't bad.
The school movie.
Yeah, that. With that. Yeah. The name of the school was the movie.
Oh, Rushmore.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
That was serious. So, anyway, the whole thing is the whole business is crazy, but the common link, you guys, to everything is the idea. So
That's awesome.
So, Jay, let me ask you a little bit about you and your horse racing prognosticating experiences. So, tell me, what is like the best day that you've had at the track?
I did a piece. Listen, I do a weekly piece on ESPN.com, and then you plug up horse racing. In about a month, so that's a good question. They hooked an email up to that ESPN column I do, and Dan, you cannot believe. If you guys like horses, I hear horse stories that they're so funny you can't even read them. I mean, everybody who has ever been to the racetrack has almost won like $1 million, right? And these stories, I mean, from New York and Florida, everywhere in England, it's just a riot. Anyway, that's the most asked question. So about a month ago, I did a piece, and I think I won. It was at the little teeny tiny. I love little teensy tiny racetracks. You guys probably don't have as many of those little bitty ones in Florida as we do here.
Mm-hmm.
They're just little white spots in the road.
No, we only have huge ones.
Yes, we have Gulfstream and
Calder, all that stuff. There's one here called Will Rogers Downs. I swear to God, I could not make that up. I mean, Will Rogers never met a horse he didn't like.
I was just about to say that.
No, it's by Claremore, where he was born. Nice racetrack. But it was raining there one day, and a friend and I bet on a horse from New Mexico that went off at about 50 to 1. And we won every penny in the whole entire racetrack. No, everything. The people, they had to go like from window to window, like shaking change out of the teller's pocket. We just won everything. It was in the rain, and so that was probably it.
All right, now, just to flip that, what is the worst time that you've ever had?
The worst time at a racetrack?
Yes.
Well, most any Breeders' Cup day. That stuff is so hard. I went to the first one in Los Angeles 22 years ago. That's the day when they do all the championship races. Mm-hmm. And I took my agent, and we didn't cash a ticket. Lost. I was being a big shot, and you guys sit down here, and let me show you how to do it. And we got obliterated.
No.
Wiped off the earth. We lost everything we had and could borrow, had no money for food, and it was like we had to hitchhike home.
That's awesome.
You and your agent had to hitchhike home. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Listen, one time, Dan, his brother, and I actually took the rent down to the Dania High Life.
Yeah. We were a little short on the rent, weren't we? We were maybe $100.
$100 short.
Yes.
We said, screw it. Let's see if we could go do something with it.
Let's go make
Highlight.
Highlight, yeah.
Yes.
Listen, I've got a highlight system. You want to hear it?
Yes, please.
Are you ready?
Yes.
I swear to God.
I'm getting a pen.
Loses.
Go ahead.
Send me 10%, okay?
Okay.
Doubles, right?
Yes.
The fattest guys always win. 90% of the time, the fattest team wins.
You're kidding.
No. So you got to get their weight. Don't ask me why. Fat guys kick butt at highlight.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wish we'd have known that when we had the rent going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Jay.
Are those things still going good?
You know what? They're getting slot machines down here, so they're going to be putting them in.
Honey, here too. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Indian casinos here are absolutely. It's beyond. It's Pottersville. It's beyond anything. Day and night, 24 hours a day. I mean, it's almost tragic, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Indian casinos are really killing off a lot of the pari-mutuels, and their slot machines are only coming to Broward County. So, Dania Highlight and Gulfstream and the Hollywood Dog Track are going to be getting regular slot machines, but everyone else is still going to be languishing.
Oh, Dan, you got to have them. You can. They make more off slot machines than anything. You go to races anymore, and there are a few hundred people, but the purses are for 50,000 races. I mean, nobody there, but the money they're racing for is just gargantuan.
Yeah.
It's pitiful. It really is. I mean, the gambling. I mean, they cash like welfare checks. I mean,
I know.
we have like over 100 Indian casinos here in Oklahoma. Can you believe that?
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
No, they're everywhere.
We've got like 5.
Yeah, I think
that's too many.
Yeah, there's like 5 here in the state.
Oh, there are 100. You could go in at 4 in the morning, in the middle of nowhere. It's full. Blackjack, slot machines.
Wow.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Wow. So he has see over here in Florida, it's so much more restrictive because the Indian casinos here can only have bingo style slot machines and low stakes poker. So that higher level of gambling, like blackjack and roulette and craps, it's not allowed anywhere in the state here.
Well, you guys come here with all the religious psychos and just gamble your guts out. So they're everywhere.
So let me ask you, Jay, when you go to the track, how do you know which horses to bet on? Are you just picking, or do you kind of can figure things out by taking a look?
Do you know the handicaps?
Dan, you know what? We've got here in Tulsa, where I live, we've got the best simulcast joint I've ever seen. And on the Dish, TVG, and all these plays, what I do is I really focus on one track, and it's. To do it well, it's kind of self-defeating. To do it well, you have to really pay attention and spend the time. You have to sit there and you have to watch races, and you have to watch and read and pay attention. And it's almost like a part-time job. But if you do it, if you really take it seriously and you know what you're doing, you can make money. And I focus on one track at a time. And I can make some money, but I mean, again, it just takes, and it almost gets to the point where it's not enough fun,
Gotcha. Well, they say that about any passion. If you turn it into a job, then it'll eventually, it's all work anyway.
Yeah, and it is. It really is. And you've got to pay attention, and you can't miss anything, and you've got to really focus. And a friend and I have been watching the races here recently at Mountaineer. And it's all in West Virginia, and there it's just like what we said. They built it. It's a rat hole. I mean, it used to be the worst, and they built a casino there now, and it's paradise all of a sudden, wherever that place is, up in the corner.
Wow.
And so they have real cheap grass races there. Usually turf races are high dollar, like at you guys track in Florida, and they're high dollar races. But in Mountaineer, they have cheap races, cheap claiming races. And if you pay attention, there was one period of time there where all the quick horses, the horses that got out of the gate quick, won every race. Mm-hmm. And so, you don't have to be too smart. You just have to be there.
Gotcha.
And you have to watch what's going on. Uh-huh. And so you have, you have no social life. And, I walked in one night, Jessica, and to the simulcast place, and the lady said, "Where's first aid?" And I said, "What?" And she said, "Don't you work here?" I didn't know, lady. God bless. I gotta go home. Oh, I was there so much, she thought I worked there.
So then, do you focus more on like writing about it than actually being like a gambler?
No, both.
Oh, so you're...
Yeah, write about it. No, I'd go. Man, we go. I went yesterday. Spent all day over there yesterday. Because, I mean, that's the fun thing about everything is so sterile, and the characters, man, horses are the only thing left. It's like, no, really, listen, guys and dolls, and I mean, that's where they are. And the people are so much fun.
Yeah.
It's, you sit at home and get the satellite and do what, it's just not the same.
Well, I tell you, we've been to the Highlight a few times, mm-hmm. and I know it's not horse racetrack, but it's still like the people there.
It's the funnest thing in the world.
It really is. Yes, it is.
And it's the people in the cafeteria watching on the televisions. It's the people yelling to the Highlight players, "You bum!"
Oh yeah, Jessica, listen, I'll send you this link. Somebody sent me at the newspaper a story about it's a club sort. This guy collects racetracks, and some people do it. This one person I knew gave tours of minor league baseball parks Isn't that fun? I mean, Deep South, AA, Savannah, all over the place.
Wow.
And this person was putting out information, T-shirts and stuff about all the teeny tiny racetracks in the country. I'll send you the link. It was just, I mean, it's so much, and I kind of collect them too. You know, when I go somewhere, man, I like to find the racetrack, and the smaller the better. So I'll send that to you.
Yes,
yeah,
please
you
do.
can't find
do.
people like that anywhere else in the world, man. They're still there.
So let me ask you this, Jay. The Kentucky Derby, how come the race is like 2.5 minutes, but when I watch it on TV, it takes like 2 hours to get to it?
Yeah, you know what? We were talking about that last week. Horse race coverage is kind of like a stencil. You know, it's all the same. And I don't know what anybody can do. It's a little uppity, and it's, you know, rich people and sheiks and all that stuff. And the Derby, it's just all, you know, soap opera actors talking about betting their phone numbers or whatever. But they need to improve probably the coverage a little bit.
And
you know, Dan, listen again. That's what I love about it. Actually, is the fact that you have some time to think. But the competition is what you said. You know, slots and dice and
Yeah.
So
this isn't a society to sit and think anymore.
You're right.
now, for the last 3 years, anytime the Triple Crown Racing comes up, what I do is I go to ESPN.com and I look for Jay Cronley's column, and I bet on whatever it is you say to bet on.
Yeah, and sometimes it'd be, Jessica, while you're out, stop by the Greyhound track.
Stop by the ATM machine.
Yes, exactly. Go ahead and place it.
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
thanks a lot for that, Jay.
Yeah,
that is. I know I've corrupted Dan. He was at the library before he and I met, right?
so far,
I'm just pissy because he hasn't won anything.
yes, I've yet to win a cent.
Well,
I lose every
but
year.
now listen, we will fix that.
All right.
What's going on in your state? What track's going now?
Is Gulfstream going right now?
Is it going on now?
They revamped it. You should come visit.
I heard that's the prettiest place. A lady I know who
Oh my
Holy.
National Airline.
You would not recognize it.
How far is it from you?
It's about
20 minutes?
30 minutes from me.
Yeah, in the winter they all come down there from New York. I haven't been there. I've been to Miami, to Hialeah, but I need to come there, that new place.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculously fancy.
I'll try to, and guarantee you win if we have to bet every horse in the race.
Okay.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
That sounds like a good plan.
See that? Time to bet the rent again. That's what I say.
That's nice to encourage everybody yes to take all their money and gamble. Huh?
Absolutely. You know, let me ask you this: reading Good Vibes, it's such a kind of a pro gambling book. Have you ever had any encounters with people with sort of the opposite view? How can you take this former gambling addict? I mean, in the book, he actually goes to he goes to a support group for gambling.
Yeah, and that's the only thing. You know, that's a fabulous question, Dan. That's the only thing they took out the reference. They were going to start that movie with a Gamblers Anonymous meeting being robbed. Is that funny or what?
Oh my goodness!
Well, you know,
And somebody got scared of it because it was a little, you know, in this day and age of all the rehab and crap, they were worried. But anyway, that's a good question, and the answer is you can make points with humor, and that you can't. If you were to do a straight movie, excuse me, about gambling, right? You'd wind up with some of the movies that have been done, you know, people in the bathtub bleeding. And so you can make the point, you can do anything with humor, and if it's funny, you can get away with it. And whereas otherwise, it's preaching. But that's a good question. Yeah, I don't mean to laugh at people going under, but I don't think I contribute to it. So
there you go.
Hell with them. I mean, you know, after Quick Change came out, the bank robbery book. Listen, somebody dressed up as a clown, right? And robbed a bank in New Jersey. And I thought, okay, perfect, I'm going to jail.
Oh, no.
I swear to God, dressed up as a clown and robbed a bank.
Did he get away with it?
No, they caught him.
Yeah.
Thank the Lord God. But I mean, I think there was some court case, where it actually went to trial where somebody said, I think they watched Natural Born Killer. Seriously.
Oh.
Yeah, and said that movie made me kill people. And you can't hold any art responsible for a nut. So,
No.
but anyway, no, gambling is a serious thing, and particularly around here with these 100 Indian casinos.
Good Lord.
100.
See, that's how the Indians are getting back at us. That's what I've been saying.
Well,
No, they're making so much money,
Yes.
they can't count it.
Yes.
Last week at the Cherokee Casino here, it's exactly like a Las Vegas casino, maybe bigger. They gave away a house.
Oh my gosh.
They give away Corvettes. They're making so much. And listen, nobody knows what the house cut is. They go in there and play these slots. They have no clue what they're doing. In the money room, I bet they have like big, huge, like metal rakes. And they're raking like $100 bills. Right now, they're in there raking it.
Go teach them how to do it, Jay.
You guys have to come here to God's country and have a look at this gambling.
Absolutely.
Oh, my
absolutely.
gosh.
Definitely.
Listen, I really will try in the winter when they come to Florida. I have a friend who flies for National, and she and her sister and uncle live at Gulfstream, so I'll try to get down there.
That would be awesome. Please contact me when you do. 'Cause
Absolutely.
we will stop by, and we'll be there the whole day with you.
That'd be-
You'll have to beat us up with a stick.
I know he'll get tired of us. He'll be like,
That'd be
"All
great
right,
fun."
you guys got to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave me alone now. I've got to go to sleep. But that's great. Jay, you know what? Is there anything else that you want to talk about while you've got a small audience?
No, so yeah, it's nice to talk to somebody interested in, what you do, and again, even though it's kind of distressing that the fact that the arts as a whole are kind of sorry. It's cyclical. It'll come back. And again, it's for anybody in the business, anybody who wants to write. I mean, this is the time to do it because it stinks. And if you have a good idea, they'll pay you. And so...
Well, I tell you what. We're waiting for your movie, okay?
Yeah, it's called Killer Marriage. And I absolutely 100% will keep you posted.
Yes, please do.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so you guys are very sweet, and I appreciate the time. And, listen, I do the weekly thing on ESPN.com. It's free. And also... Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. A column in the Tulsa World, and it's free. TulsaWorld.com.
Gotcha. I think that's how I originally got your email, too, like years ago.
Sure, that's free. So come and get it.
Come and get it, everybody out there.
Yep.
Jay, thank you so much for talking with us, and I hope to talk to you again.
Anytime, sweetie. Dan, it's, listen, keep a good thought. We'll win money.
Okay. Fantastic.
In fact, we'll win money before I come down there. I'm going to go get a racing form and stay up 4 days and 4 nights and pick you a winner.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Jockey Club. This episode was hosted and produced by me, Dan Delgado. Thank you to my guest, Jay Cronley, wherever you are. Our theme music is from Epidemic Sound. Our cover art is by Sean Labrie. If you enjoyed this episode, and I certainly like to think that you did, well then you can show your appreciation by buying me a coffee. Yeah, that's a thing. Think of it as like leaving a tip. There's a link in the show notes on how to do it. But if you're saving up all your pennies to bet on the 4-horse, then I understand. It's a way of life that I oddly can relate to. You can still support the show by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you may be listening to this. And just remember, leaving a 5-star review is free. If you want, you can get in touch with me through email. It is dan@moviemaker.com. I am constantly on Twitter @_Dan_Delgado. Or even better, I'm on the Repod app, which is a great way to not only listen to podcasts, but to interact with podcast hosts like myself. Find it in your app store, come on by and say hello. This has been Dan Delgado for the Jockey Club. And remember, sometimes you could be walking around lucky and not even know it.